Hey everybody, today I'm talking about Rise of Augustus, which is a board game designed by Paolo Mori and illustrated by Vincent Dutrait. This one dates back to 2013. It takes 30 minutes to play and accommodates 2 to 6 players. So this is a very simple family bingo style game, obviously set in this ancient Rome theme. So the setup is going to look like this. We're going to have these public objectives here. So you've got 12 of those. You've got this common card row here where you're going to be drafting new cards from, which basically represent these conquests. And you've also got 3 personal conquests, at least to start the game, but you can get more of those. Additionally, each player is going to start with 7 of these legionnaires, which basically act as your bingo markers. And you're going to have a reference card, which shows how many tokens of each type is in this bag. So the objective of this game is rather simple. You are trying to get as many victory points as you can by fulfilling these conquests. And as you can see, the anatomy of the card looks like this, where you have a bunch of criteria that you need to fulfill by drawing these tokens out of the bag and putting your matching legionnaires on them. And once you've got that full array of symbols matched up with a legionnaire, you're going to get a number of victory points at the end of the game and also potential bonuses as well. Like in this one, for example, lets you complete another card for free. This one here will give you 3 points for each of these trebuchet symbols you have at the end of the game. And there's a ton of these that you can get. Ones like this where you complete them, that lets you move your legionnaires onto other shields. Ones that just give you new legionnaires, all that good stuff. So let's talk about how it works mechanically. So all you're going to do on your turn is the person the caller of the round is going to draw tiles from the bag one at a time, like so, and just show all the players what that is. And then each player, if they want to, they can place one of their legionnaires on a matching symbol. So let's just say I put this one here on this corresponding trebuchet marker. Now, if you wanted to, if say all your pieces were on the board or on your cards, but you didn't have enough to complete any, you can move them from one to another. So if I had that on there, for example, I could move it onto that trebuchet spot if I wanted to. Then you're going to keep going, drawing one out at a time until you fulfill the objectives of one of these cards. If you ever draw one of these wild tokens from the bag, you can put them on any symbol, or your legionnaire on any symbol, but then all the tokens you've drawn up to that point are going to go back into the bag, and then you're going to continue. Now, as soon as a player completes one of these cards, they're going to shout out loud, Ave Caesar, and then you're going to go into a separate phase where you're going to take all these legionnaires back. You're going to put this on your kind of scoring pile, and one of the endgame triggers, or in fact the only endgame trigger, is to get 7 of these completed. And then the person is going to choose one of the cards in this row which they want to take on next. So let's just say they want to take this one here. And that's going to give them a new objective to work towards. Now, if several people call Ave Caesar at the same time, then that is going to get resolved in the order of the numbers on the cards here, from lowest to highest. In addition to simply trying to fulfill those objective cards, you can work towards these goals here, which will give you bonus points at the end of the game if you control them. So this one here shows that for each time you get one of those objectives fulfilled, you can choose to claim one of these bonuses. But as soon as you claim one, you cannot go higher than that. So let's say I had 4 objectives completed. I could choose to take this marker here for endgame scoring, but then if I was to go on and claim 5 objectives, then I could not claim this one because I kind of bottled it a bit early and ended up taking this one. So it's kind of a push your luck thing, how far are you willing to go to get those big points before other people do that. Additionally, you've got these other objectives here, which is simply based on the colours of the cards. So again, if you have 3 of these colours, you're going to get 4 points. You have 1 of each colour and a senator, you're going to get this one here. And all 3 of this colour, all 3 of this colour, or 3 senators, etc. These ones here work slightly differently, where the person controlling the most of these particular symbols at any time is going to keep control of this marker, but if anybody overtakes them, then they're going to take that points tile off them. So if I have this weak tile here, I'm going to grab this one because I'm the only player with one of those weak tiles, but if somebody overtook me and got 2 weak tiles, then they would take that one off me. Now that is essentially the scope of the game in its entirety. I suppose the only thing I can do is show you what some of these cards actually do. So we mentioned these ones earlier where you get more of these legionnaires in your supply, so you've got more flexibility and can get more objectives worked on at a single time. You've got ones here like this that lets you put them straight onto a certain symbol once they're completed. Straight up victory points, get endgame points for each of these symbols you have completed. This one here, you can kind of move them onto any wild spots, so whenever you want them, to get more done in a kind of chain reaction fashion. For each of these particular regions, you're going to get these points. Can complete objectives or objective cards instantly, move them onto daggers. Again, each of these standards you get are going to get you 3 points at the end of the game. All that kind of standard set collection point scoring you'd expect from a family weight game. So as you could probably tell from the rules explanation there, this game is not rocket science. It is essentially bingo with a few added gamey elements, such as the potential for combos. When you complete one card, it can lead to completing another card. You've of course got that set collection aspect of the game where all the things score in different ways, and you've even got a touch of kind of push your luck by trying to go for these objectives. And that is all the game kind of involves. So if you're familiar with a game like bingo, then you can pretty much not have to go too much further or stretch too far in order to understand Rise of Augustus. And that is of course what this game is trying to go for. This is an extremely low barrier to entry, family friendly game that plays in a very succinct amount of time. I do like some of the things about it. I do like that idea of, when you complete this card, you can do this card to do this card, and that is quite satisfying when that gets pulled off. And I do like this push your luck aspect of, am I going to get another objective done before the other players, or is time going to run out completely before I get one of those done, and I'm going to leave with nothing, rather than calling it early and at least leaving with some points here. And this actually reminds me of a game that I reviewed semi-recently called Kanagawa, another simple set collection game. That was my favourite part of that game as well. So yeah, I quite like that little, how far are you going to go? Am I going to call it now, or am I going to push further for those big points? So yeah, gameplay wise, you are very subject to the luck of the draw from the bag. Of course, it is a bingo style game, but you're going to get into the game knowing that, so you're not going to feel kind of besmirched or annoyed that the fact that tiles are coming out and helping your opponents more than they're going to help you, because that is what the game is all about. But they have done a good job of trying to add some mitigation here. For example, you can go for these cards like this, where if you take a certain symbol from the bag, if you draw one of these chariots, you can now use it as a trebuchet and vice versa. So it gives you that extra flexibility to fill up your sheets quicker and quicker, and it keeps the ball rolling, and you're not so subject to the tile draw, even though that's what the game is all about. Now, despite being massively subject to the luck of the tile draw from the bag, there is some scope for long-term planning here. You might want to work towards certain objectives like this, where, if I claim this card, I might really want to start tailoring my strategy to collecting more of these trebuchet cards to get more points at the end of the game. And of course, you can work towards these public objectives. Do I want to collect all cities of the same type, etc. So again, you have got some long-term planning as well as being instantly, subject to the draw of the bag. And of course, there is some tension in terms of getting these objectives done as quick as you can. Am I going to go for the longer, harder to complete tiles or objectives, or nice, short, succinct ones in order to draft the next card I want, because somebody else might be after that card as well. So there is that interaction there. Do you want to finish things quickly and grab the public cards, or wait longer? So yeah, there's that good race element there as well. Additionally, they have tried to inject some player interaction by these pretty nasty take that cards you can choose to put in or not. Personally, I always take them out, but they let you kind of destroy centurions of other players, let you destroy other objectives and things that people might have completed. But for me, that felt a bit too take that-ish for a game like this. Augustus does scale very well. It does play 2 to 6 players, and because everybody is always playing simultaneously, as you would bingo, then you're going to be pretty much engrossed in the game from start to finish. And that 30-minute time frame is spot on for a game like this. It goes by very rapidly, and it certainly doesn't stay on the table long enough for you to get bored or lose interest in it. So that certainly does work to its favour. The replayability, I think, is fairly low, to be honest. Yeah, there is quite a wide array of these different cards you can go for, but generally, again, you're always going to be subject to the draft from the bag. So it's pretty standard stuff, and I think maybe the replayability comes from maybe people's comfort zones. If they are familiar with a game like bingo, they want to play with something a bit more familiar to them. They don't want to learn new stuff or new mechanisms. This one is going to be that easy, low barrier to and comfort style game that people might start to enjoy. The production of the game is very good. I mean, this does have Vincent Dutrait artwork, who I think is probably one of my favourite board game artists. All this stuff looks fantastic, and this is no exception. The cards are nice and clear, these kind of square cards with this linen finish, so they're all top quality. The tiles from the bag are nice and durable, so no issues there at all. And your meeples and stuff are all pretty standard stuff. So yeah, I've got no problems at all with the production. I suppose my only issue is is that it comes in a regular sized box. So it would have been nice to have a box the fraction of the size of this, really, because it does feel like a filler, and I suppose when a game is going to come in this size of a box, you want it to be something a bit more significant. At least I personally do. So overall, I don't really know what to say about Augustus, because it is simply bingo, but with a few tacked on mechanisms. Again, the set collection, the pushy luck, and some small combos. But despite me saying that, I do actually like the game, which is quite strange because it's better in practice than it actually sounds on paper. It's one of those. But despite that, again, you know what this game is going to play like just by watching a video like this. Is it going to be right for you? Maybe you want to play games with maybe an older relative or something, but don't want to overwhelm them too much. This one is going to be something that you can probably introduce to them, and I think non-gamers are going to have a relatively good time with this, because it's almost hard not to. There's got that visceral tension of a game like bingo, where you want to race to get these things done, and you've got those extra elements as well, such as the scarce draft of the cards that you want, that end-game strategies you can kind of work towards, but still not being too much where it takes away from the simplicity of the game itself. To learn the game is an absolute breeze, just drawing tiles from the bag and placing these people on your cards, and that is pretty much as far as this goes. If you've got a dedicated group of gamers you play with all the time, this isn't going to be enough for them, let's be honest. But if you do have that right group where people very sporadically play a game with you, they don't want anything too hard to learn, and they want something that's fun and family friendly and quick most of all, then maybe don't overlook Rise of Augustus as, again, better than it sounds on paper, but still basically bingo with some set collection mechanisms. That is Rise of Augustus.